Well, it's just about the last place in the world you'd expect to find pirates these days, and yet here they are in court. 18 Somali men facing a judge in Mombasa, Kenya on Thursday. 11 were seized by French commandos. The rest were captured by the German Navy. They were turned over to Kenyan authorities in accordance with an arrangement with the European Union. On a different front in the war against piracy, delegates at a donors conference in Brussels, Belgium, are raising money to help restore some semblance of order in Somalia. The head of the European Union's naval force says that's essential since lawlessness is a huge part of Somalia's piracy problem.
Clearly, we recognise we need to understand what's happening in Somalia, which drives people to come to sea and do piracy anyway, and we're trying to build our knowledge of what's happening there. But we also recognise the long-term future of stability in that region is going to be what stops piracy happening.
Well, during the summit, the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon called piracy a symptom of insecurity. So let's have a look at what was promised to help Somalia in its fight against piracy. Donors there are pledging more than $250 million. Some of that will go to support Somali security forces. Most of the money, though, will be to bolster African Union peacekeepers. The peacekeepers will see the size of their force in Somalia increase from 4,500 to 8,000. Well, Europe has taken the lead in the fight against the pirates off the Horn of Africa. The European Union's foreign policy chief, EUHRSolana, joins us now from Brussels to talk about the next steps in efforts to try to stop this piracy problem. And you know the old saying, Mr. Solana, and that is damned if you do, damned if you don't. And it would seem to be the position that you're caught in today, perhaps. Listen to what Hillary Clinton had to say.
This matter to NATO. If the Dutch Navy had been operating under the EU, they could have turned over the pirates for trial. NATO has not provided that authority, so we need to coordinate this. We need to move very quickly to do so.
All right. The pirates have to be arrested. People are saying that the EU, others, maybe are letting them down. What do you say?
No, we arrested the pirates, and we put it in countries in which they are safe and they are not under risk of being treated by torture or anything like that, but having a fair trial, and we continue to coordinate with them. This is a provisional situation until a final solution is found. But the coordination between the international community on the fight against piracy is very, very common, very efficient. I'd like to underline that because otherwise we will be saying something which is not true. The coordination is almost perfect. And as I said before, today the meeting has taken place in three vectors or three directions. Okay. How to help the new government in Somalia, how to help them economically and security, and how to do better the piracy fight, which has been done in a very good manner, but still it can be done better.
Well, you know, as I look at what is happening there, and you see the arrests, and people say, yes, you got to arrest the pirates, it is going to cost millions of dollars. Take the case of that young man that was arrested in the United States. Does the United States really want to spend all of that money here, or where should they put their money?
I mean, it's a very difficult question that we have to play because it's a new phenomenon, and we have to come to conclusions together with the international community. The meeting of today with the Secretary General of the United Nations, we have discussed that with countries of the region, which are also very, very interested in solving this problem, and I think we are making progress. And as I said, the solution, the final solution will not be found until Somalia is a more stable country and people do not find money acting from Somalia and in piracy.
Today, one of the former Islamic leaders from the former government there that the U.S. and others pointed a finger at and said, these guys have ties to Al-Qaeda, we don't want any part of them. Then the Ethiopians came in, but he's back in Somalia today. How much of a presence there by Islamic militants is the EU willing to countenance in order to get the security that it needs to stop piracy?
Well, there are two things today very, very important. one, the new president, the transitional president, has been here in Brussels in an international conference, but at the same time it's true that one of the leaders have been back in Somalia. But we have to support the legal government, the transitional government, the government that is ready to take the important measures to try to stabilize the country, to help them economically, not only by the United States and the European Union, but also to the countries of Africa, which have been committed to do that, and see we can move the dossier forward. Somalia has been forgotten for too much a time, and we cannot solve it in 24 hours. But the commitment of the international community now is total.
All right. EUHRSolana, Foreign Policy Chief for the European Union, thank you, as always, for being with us, taking time out of a very busy schedule to explain some important points here on the situation.